Hello.
Hi.
Okay. I will set up now for Instagram.
Yeah.
And once I show you, you start. Or yeah, I'll just tell you. Okay. There is a should be from a business. All right. Just 6 now. False. Okay. Checking connection. Yeah, we are live now.
Good afternoon, everyone. So today we are going to talk about leading successful property management operations. And this course relates to the e-cornell course of commercial real estate.
Sorry.
So as a summary of this module, which I'm going to explain, this module relates to any real estate asset, commercial or residential or industrial. And we will touch base on the maintenance, the cleanliness, the sustainability, the cash flow, and how to screen tenants, how to place the right tenants, how to maximize the cash flow by extending the time of leases and getting the right tenants for the property so that the
Great.
property at a high efficiency and high function.
Hi, Manjal and Piper now join us. Okay.
So the first topic covered would be managing building system maintenance and cleanliness. Now, when the building is well maintained, when all the systems in the building work properly, it's at high efficiency and leads to a higher rate of satisfaction among the tenants. Basically relates to the air conditioning, the heating, the elevator, and all those maintenance kind of activities in the building, which affect the day-to-day activities. So when the building is well maintained, clean, and has a very good system in place, which requires a less amount of time for maintenance, then the building is at a high efficiency rate, and this reduces the operating cost as there is less time of administration and supervision needed to control and to rectify those activities, which further leads to higher rents and high occupancies because the tenants are satisfied with the building. So managing the building system, there are 5 different kinds of maintenance: preventive, predictive, scheduled, routine, and emergency. Uh, preventive, predictive are done so that there is in future there is a less chance of maintenance and less chance of the machinery falling down. Scheduled routine would be for again minor and for increasing the efficiency of the machines, and emergency can come up anytime. So for all 5 maintenances, the maintenance team should be equipped and should have all these 5 um, plans for all these 5 maintenance in place so that the building is under high efficiency. So in preventive, there is for example, changing of filters of the ducts, so that this is done quite regularly, like every 6 months, so that there is clean air coming through the ducts and no dust in the air. Predictive is again when certain equipments in the building are old and they are they the team can foresee that the part or the equipment can break down. That time the predictive is done so that the equipment is regularly checked to make sure nothing is wrong. Scheduled is again to make sure that the equipments are at the peak efficiency. Routines are like changing of bulbs, checking of the pipes, and emergency can be fire or a pipe bursting. So in a nutshell, all these five maintenance routines have to be followed to make sure the building is at a peak efficiency. Then we go to evaluation of mechanical equipment. So here we go into depth of the building, where we look at the major equipments like a boiler, a chiller, air handling unit, cooling tower. These five equipments are very important and make a major part of the building. So all five of these equipments have to have regular maintenance in place and to make sure that they are working. Otherwise, this would lead to the tenants not being happy about the service in the building and can also lead to further electricity failure. So this is another part of sustainability where it comes. Modern buildings are having these environmental protocols in place. This helps in reducing the carbon impact and the waste impact. So in buildings, they have compactors and recycling bins in place, but there's a further step taken so that there is a reduction in the waste. And when all the tenants take part in recycling correctly, there is less creation of waste and toxic materials, so leading to more savings for the buildings and in their budget. Again, as I touched on sustainability, LED lights and high efficiency lights help in reducing the electricity bill. Also using eco-friendly cleaning products help help touching the sustainability and reducing the toxic uh, waste in the building. So this helps in the building being more green and energy efficient, further leading to savings in gas, water, and maintenance issues. So in further leading to cash flow increase. Now we can go to the strategies of the tenancy cycle. So uh, these strategies are important because uh, it leads to less vacancy in a property and getting the most cash flow from the particular asset. So these are the steps which we follow for usual placing a tenant. First the asset is first the asset has got ready in place, then we set a criteria, we set the budget, we set the rent, and then we set the criteria for the tenants. What kind of tenants are we looking for? In commercial, we can set class A, class B, class C tenants, depending on the business type. And in residential, again, depending on the asset type, we can choose the tenant criteria. Lease execution, we can, depending on the requirement of the owner, we again negotiate the lease term and get the signed contract. um, the lease execution is done in such a way where the landlord faces less of vacancy and his property is kept out of vacant times the less. And when the tenant moves out, there is enough marketing done. The right kind of inspection is done to make sure that the tenant has not created any damages. If damages are created, then the property management company takes in charge and charges the tenant and rectifies the mistakes and the problems. So after the tenancy, again there is a cleaning done, and there is a paint touch up and those kind of things done. So which again creates the building and the asset at a very high efficiency. Negotiating the term of lease. So in residential, it's usually 1 year, but in commercials, it can go from 1 to 5 years. And depending on the type of the tenant in commercial, There are landlords who also go and sign for 5 years. There is an important term here called the anchor tenant. Anchor tenant is in commercial real estate, and it's a tenant which typically occupies the most square footage and carries a very prestigious name. So suppose the Brentwood Towers in Burnaby, they were supposed to have Cactus Club Cafe. So Cactus Club Cafe could be an anchor tenant, which could attract more further pubs and shops in Brentwood. But due to some circumstances, the deal didn't go through. So for this reason, anchor tenants are important as they bring more attention to the building, and uh, they have they actually receive lower rents because of the amount of benefits they get to the area. So for suppose Cactus would get more crowd, and there could be more pubs and like an arcade which has already opened up in Brentwood. So all these would be working simultaneously, bringing more money and more traffic to the building, and getting more business to the tenants. Degree of the tenants improvement. So in a lot of commercial assets, there are tenants who agree to make the improvements in the asset themselves, and they receive a lower rate. So, for example, there are certain tattoo studios who require a creative space, and in order for them to do that, they sign an improvement clause with the landlords. So with that, they can make improvements on the landlord's approval, and this helps them to uh, adapt make the place adapted to their business activities, and also helps the landlord uh, uh, to get more money because whatever is done in the scope of approval. So these upgrades and renovations also sometimes help in mechanical and system upgrades, and helps in working the making the building work at peak efficiency. So a final note to remember would be that it takes time to acquire an asset and to uh, negotiate the price and purchase it. And it's the same for the lease. But once the lease is negotiated with the tenants, um, the building is at peak efficiency because now we have found a tenant for long term. The building's maintenance activities are set in place. The owners get a high amount of return on their initial investment, and depending on the renewals, uh, the 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 leasing team can put the further plan in place. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation.
Oh, great. So we have also Milena, Robot, and Piper. Manish, thank you for joining. If you like to ask any questions, it will be in a question portion of it on Instagram, and we will have it on our YouTube. So for Yelena Yelizarov, would you like to add something from buying and selling real estate, commercial, especially for offices?
I think the number one thing that people have to look at is when they're buying a commercial space is that they're not just buying the unit itself, they're also buying the building. So this is where I can help potential clients review all the relevant documentation, go through depreciation reports to assess the condition of the building, as well as any upcoming repairs that they might have to keep in mind. And one of the other things that and then also take a look at what they're planning to use the unit for, whether that would actually fit their business needs, because with many different types of commercial property, there comes different zoning restrictions that they have to be aware of. Like for example, certain types of businesses might not be allowed in an area. So again, that's one of the things that I can help my clients research to make sure that they buy a unit that's going to be a good fit for them.
And how's your opinion about current market in commercial real estate?
So throughout the pandemic, we've seen that there's been a bit of a decline, at least at the onset of pandemic. I think a lot of people were fearful of what COVID would spell for commercial real estate, and we certainly saw some initial decline in prices, especially in office space. But what I'm seeing now is that there's actually pickup in interest, and there is more people that are realizing that this is actually a really good opportunity to pick up commercial real estate for a bargain price in and around downtown Vancouver. And despite the pandemic, there still continues to be a lot of demand for commercial space, because as much as we've seen different types of businesses have emerged and thrived throughout the pandemic, and those types of businesses continue to need more space.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else you would like to discuss or add?
Another thing I would say, just say generally in commercial real estate, you'll find that it's a little bit more difficult to find comparable sales because not every transaction takes place on the MLS. So in that regard, there's different sources of information that are available to us as real estate professionals. And those are basically the tools that I would use to help my clients evaluate what would be the correct price. Aside from that, I would say that for smaller transactions, you can also find something through the tax records. So that's where most transactions are registered, and you'll be able to look up the recent sales.
Okay, and now it's property assessment came out, right?
Yeah, recent property assessments came out, and I think that we've had typically the property assessment tend to be pretty accurate because our prices are always set by the spring market, right? And the tax assessments take information in the first half of the year, generally up till summer. That's generally when Vancouver has the biggest run-ups in prices. This year, however, we had two huge hits. So summer was the quieter, spring was busy, summer was quieter, but then fall and winter have seen an insane amount of activity as well. So I actually think that as much as people are surprised by higher tax assessment values this year, I think that the market values are even higher, especially as you go further out away from the city centers. There's been more real estate activity in the Fraser Valley area, and those properties have done spectacularly well.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much. And we will have a next lecture. Do you know yet, Aryan, what would be topic?
Topic would be, I think I've covered finance. So the next topic would be
Hi, Jen. We always on the end of. Thank you for joining us.
I think
You
that's
Yeah.
marketing of commercial properties.
Okay, wonderful. And when we will do it, same time on Friday, do you think?
Friday morning.
Friday morning?
Yeah.
Around 10?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you so much, Aryan.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, everyone. And if you have any questions, please text us and we will happy to help. And have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right, thank you.